Episode 8 of the Blake
8.
Chancey Podcast. Yeah, it's I can't believe I'm already here at number 8. It feels wild. We've got a great guest today, Jared Thomas from Real Broker. He's a father, a husband, a dog dad, and a fantastic realtor that's really setting the tone for social media standards for listing videos out of Merritt. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
Really appreciate it, Blake. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, man, it's wild. I literally feel like such a fool every single time I watch one of your listing videos. I'm like, how does he come up with all these unreal ideas? Like, what's the process for you when you're meeting with a client for the first time and you're walking around their house? You're already like in your head kind of drumming up some good ideas to think of for when it's time to list the property.
Yeah, I think you draw inspiration from everywhere, right? And once you start seeing it and thinking it, it just starts coming a little more naturally, and, inspiration can strike anywhere. With some of my recent videos, it was a trip to Spirit Halloween last Halloween.
Yep.
And it was after, it was right close to Halloween. So it was kind of the stuff that was left behind. And we're going through Spirit Halloween, and I saw this grandma costume, and I was
I
like,
love this new video. It's so good.
And I was like, you know what? I don't know when this will come in handy, but at some point this could work.
Yeah.
So I bought it. Same with the Napoleon Dynamite costume. I was like, I don't know what property this is going to work for, but I feel like I can use this. So, again, just bought it, and you kind of let it ruminate, and it's not like, okay, this is going to be the next one.
Yeah.
It's never, very rarely is it, I'm going out at that exact moment to buy something for the property, that comes up. It's usually, you have it on hand, or it just sort of comes to you as you go. And then you're like, oh, you know what? 55 plus unit.
Yes.
Grandmas will live here.
Yeah.
And then the Sarah McLachlan thing.
I
don't know where.
I don't know how you tied that in, but it was so good. I love that video, man.
Yeah. And so it was, it's just inspiration too. It's stuff like growing up, and you're thinking of things that resonated with you. And, if they resonate with you, chances are they're going to resonate with somebody else. Right. Yeah. And that's, one of the keys in real estate, right? Is
making those connections with other people.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man. Like, it's one of my favorite videos of yours is the Ace Ventura one. It's like a fake DHL person. Got your package here.
That's right. Yeah. Walking down the street. And so that one, it was, the street was called Parcel Street.
Yes.
So you got the package.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what's the tie in there? And, just had that image of Ace Ventura beating up the package along the fence, and, crushing everything all the way to the door. And, that house actually didn't sell very quickly, but, so I got some life out of the video, because I had to repost it a few times before it finally got across the line, but we did finally sell it.
Nice.
So, it's a journey, and, you think about it, and, these listing videos, as much as you're showcasing the house, it's also an opportunity to showcase yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And if your focus is always the house, which it should be, but, in the social media age, it's also about attention.
Yeah.
And, so many people are just inundated with wave after wave of stuff these days that you got to cut through the noise. And one of the ways to do that is with humor, and it is with, some kind of edge. So you want to bring some kind of edge to your listing, whatever it may be, right?
Yeah. I think you still really showcase the homes very well. It's not like it's all about this comedy aspect to it. Like that keeps the person engaged and might be the reason why they click at the start. But from the start to the finish, like I'm very invested into the entire video. Like, it keeps me engaged from start to finish, and you showcase the homes beautifully as well. I really admire all your work, man. Like, earlier on in the year when I was getting, I think I got up to 10 listings signed up within a month, and I wanted to start being more creative. but I just didn't have the capacity for it. Like one thing that I think I should do in the future, if I see other good inspiration online or get some ideas, I need to start putting them down in my notes. Is that something you do? You're like, oh, maybe I can use that grandma outfit in the future, and you have like a running tally of notes or ideas, or like, how do you go through that?
Yeah, I think if something really strikes you, it is a good idea to kind of just throw it in a folder in your phone, or a place on your computer, wherever you like to tally your ideas, or just keep them up in the old noggin too. But it's pretty easy to forget sometimes if you do go that way. The old
for
Kramer.
sure, we can't really trust our brains all that much. I really like the personal aspect of any video. Like, I'd much rather see human involvement in anything that I'm looking for on social media. Like, if I posted a $3 million property and just that, it might get the eyes of some people, but if I'm showcasing myself throughout the video as well, it's going to get more engagement and involvement from the viewer. I think we're all still craving a human connection, whether it's through anything in social media.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, it's one of those things where, you don't want to kind of pull the token line. Hey, it's Blake Chancey with Real Broker, and whoop, see you later.
Yeah.
But having that element and just cutting to the chase, right?
Yes.
And having that hook, whatever it is, whether it's, something funny or whether it's, something special about the property, and, really getting to it. I find sometimes, my videographer still will kind of put in like a bit of a longer kind of intro, and it's just like, no, I want it to be like, boom.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. We got like 3 seconds to grab the viewer's attention. If that, like, that's a stat that Gary Vee told me back in like 2014. You need to get somebody's attention in 3 seconds. And I'm sure since we're all inundated with more social media than ever, I know it's 11 years ago now, which is wild to think of. The hook probably needs to be like 1.5, 2 seconds max.
Yeah, no, it's definitely getting smaller. Attention is, we're turning into goldfish slowly, I think. The memory isn't as sharp, and the attention span definitely isn't as sharp. So you need to make sure that you're making the most out of your 2 to 3 seconds, and getting people while you can, right?
How's the feedback from your sellers? Like, do they love your videos? Do they hate them? Like, what's the honest feedback, criticism, constructive criticism? What's that from your clients?
You kind of work with them, right? And I will let them kind of know
your general idea of the video, what
they think. If they're never on, if they're not on board with it, then obviously you'd switch lanes and try and go with something else.
Yeah.
I think as you go on though, you start attracting more people that want to have that extra edge. And so it's turning into something now where, you're having fun, you're making these videos, you're trying to have, fun with your work and everything. And now you're starting to attract that as well. So, sellers, if they did have a problem with it, nobody said anything yet, but it's definitely something where you're like, even, with the 55 plus unit, my seller's 82, 83 years old.
Yeah.
And, I got dressed in that granny outfit and she was howling, laughing.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear that.
She was just like, oh my God. And I, with the Sarah McLachlan aspect, I was like, do we even need the granny part of it?
Yeah.
I was thinking, if we wanted to just leave it there, and cutting back and forth to the serious BCS, BCA kind of style, it would still create that dynamic that would work. But, I brought the outfit, and, it's funny working with my buddy Andrew Laporte, who does most of my media. He's just like, well, you brought it. I mean, you might as well.
Yeah, it's here. We might as well use this thing.
Yeah. And so I was going down by the river, and getting some B-roll and stuff. And then a couple of the other old folks along the river on their units came out and were taking pictures. And,
like, what the heck is happening here? Like, don't worry, I'm a realtor.
That's right. And that's such like a free pass, right? People are like, what the hell is this guy doing? And you're like, just a realtor here. No worries.
Just doing my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me the FBI badge that just says realtor.
Yeah. No, it's funny, man. I can't believe how social media has evolved as a real estate agent. Like, a lot of us have turned into just full-time content creators.
Well, and you kind of have to be, it's it's the consistency aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if, you're just relying on listing videos, you got to have a lot of product to move,
Yeah.
or, you got to have something to fall back on. Right. And, I think even like the real estate social media has kind of evolved to a degree. I think back to the broke agent and, how he's evolved into kind of this whole conglomerate now of a network of great agents and doing great stuff. But, back in the day, it used to be like the meme factory.
Yes.
And like everybody wanted to make a meme that the broke agent would repost.
Yes.
And like for a while there, that was my sole goal, was like, okay, I'm going to think of something. And it's funny that Spotify Wrapped just came out.
Yep.
Because the first meme that was ever shared by the broke agent that I did was a riff on Spotify Wrapped, which a lot of people have kind of done now, but it was back in 2020 or something like that. And, who's the most played? And it was just like buyers agents being like, and back at that time, it was definitely a seller's market. And
yeah, it was.
But you got that reshare and you're like, I fucking made it.
I made it. I'm finally here. He knows who I am.
That's right. Eric Simon. Yeah.
So is he kind of your motivation, inspiration to start doing some more like fun content-based real estate stuff?
Yeah, he kind of started it, and then it kind of opened your world to the comedic realtorgram, if you will. Yeah. And there's a couple great Canadian agents in there as well. Sean King, Kristen Clowry, who I do Realtor Break with.
Yeah, she's great.
We just connected, and then we started up just like a little realtor support group on Instagram, maybe like it's almost 3 or 4 years ago now.
Okay.
But, we just had some of us, from all over North America kind of in it, and kind of, at first it was kind of like an engagement thing where we would
share each other's content, like it, comment on it, support each other.
And then it kind of just became more of just a realtor support group, and you're just, hashing out ideas. And then, when collaborations came out, everybody wanted to kind of work together and do funny videos together.
Yeah.
And so that just pushed you to kind of, keep on the edge and really try and, hone your craft a little bit. And, even with my regular kind of content schedule, it's doing some kind of collabs with Between Appointments, who's a great meme account based in Canada.
Okay. Yeah, I follow them.
He's from Toronto, and for a while there, he was like a man of mystery, and I was like, who is this guy?
Don't actually know who the face is.
He was he's a faceless account, right? Yep. And it took some doing, but we finally cracked the case. Great nice. Guy, Giancarlo, out of Toronto, and he does some great memes. And so every Monday, post a little collab with him, kind of get some memes out, and then the Name That Tune Tuesday.
Yeah, I love Name That Tune Tuesday.
Which
that's great.
And if I was doing that solely for metrics and views and likes and stuff, I would have stopped doing it. Mm-hmm. Eons ago, because it never jumps off the charts, except for one time when I did an Iron Maiden song. It got like 10,000 views on Facebook.
Nice.
But it never really turns the meter on Instagram, but it's something that I do for myself, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I like to play guitar. I like to, it kind of just keeps my toe in it just enough to kind of, show another side of me.
Yeah.
And then, it's also the people that you never hear from on social media.
Yeah.
And, you bump into them in the grocery store, you bump into them on the street. They're like, oh, yeah, what was the Name That Tune this week, man?
Yeah, that's great.
And you're like, oh, wow, this guy never likes or comments on anything, but, it's getting out there. And I think that's a bit of a forgotten thing with social media, too, is like you're putting the content out there. It is reaching people. And even if you're not getting 100 comments and, 1,000 likes, it is getting to the people. And just because they're not liking and commenting doesn't mean that they're not following along and kind of following your journey and, cheering for you on the sidelines. And they might come out of the woodwork and say, hey, man, I've been following you for a long time and would love to
100%.
have you list the place, or, I'm looking for a place. Will you be my buyer's agent?
Yeah.
So it's something where you have to,
You got to play the long game with that. And I think it's a really good way to show your personality and other interests for you. I had a client last year reach out to me through Facebook. They said, I followed your business page for the last 10 years. We went to high school together. Didn't really talk much there at all. But she's like, I love your passion. I can feel it through your stories and your posts, and I've seen your success. And I feel like I know you already without even really seeing you since high school.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we would love for you to be our agent and help us buy our first home in BC. And I'm just like, let's go. Like, that's so cool. You never know who is actually cheering for you in behind the scenes, and they might see all of your content, but a lot of people just swipe by and just don't engage, even if they do like it.
Mm-hmm. My wife is a classic for that.
Yeah.
Like I got to tell her to go back and like my video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? You're just doing a scroll by. And she's just a scroll buyer. She's just like, she'll happily watch something all the way through and just, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I think another part is being a liker and a commenter as well as when you're putting out this content, is if you want engagement, you kind of got to give it as well.
You do. You can't just post and ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like in social media groups and WhatsApp or whatever, you can't just send a video or your newest listing into the group chat and be like, guys, comment on this, please. It's like, well, it's a little bit of give and take, right? You want to go and support those other people too. It works on both ends. It can't just be a one-way street in these, collaborative efforts or social media groups that some people are in. You got to, I'm a huge fan of just blindly liking and supporting anybody close to me.
Totally.
So if I see a post by them, I'm going to hit like on it pretty much right away. And if I do have some true interest in it, if I want to comment, I will. I think it's a great way to engage with people. And some of my best friends are from social media, and then I meet them in real life and our relationship grow further. I was the best man at a wedding for another realtor that lives in Texas. We met at a Tom Ferry real estate conference back in 2019, connected on social media, started following each other, and we would talk every single day about business, about his first investment property, relationships, the ups and downs of a realtor and life. And we just connected, and like, we still talk countless times a day. So I think social media is really whatever you make of it, right? Some people can hate on it for whatever reason, but I think it's a great way to connect with other people that otherwise you would never have the opportunity to do that with.
Oh, for sure. And I think for realtors too, I mean, it can be a pretty lonely business, right?
Yeah.
And, being in a small town like Merritt for me, there's probably less than 20 agents, to be honest with
20?
you, in Merritt.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the population like?
10,000.
Okay.
10,000 is pushing it.
Okay.
But, you do the ratio numbers, maybe we're getting a little close, but, of those 20, there's about 5 kind of the heavy hitters, the big volume people. And then there's, the people that get their deals, here and there. But being in a smaller market and having the opportunity to, reach out to different agents around the world, right? And because you can always connect about being a real estate agent with if it's one thing realtors like to do, it's talk about the business, and it's better to do it with a fellow realtor sometimes than your spouse. Although you've got the luxury of, having a realtor as a partner. So, but I know sometimes with my wife, it's like, oh yeah, you remember this transaction, blah, blah, blah. No, she doesn't remember.
Yeah, I stuffed my ears with paper towels, so I didn't have to listen to you talk about that.
Sometimes, yeah.
And that's interesting. In such a small market like that, every single other realtor is truly your competition. Like 20 agents, and like, are you competing against a lot of other agents when you go to listing appointments?
It's interesting. There are more and more people, I think, just across the board are trying to, talk to a couple of real estate agents, and, but also there's the few that are like, it's you and only you kind of thing.
Which are the best.
Yeah.
When somebody calls you, you go over and they say, we're not interviewing another agent. We already kind of made the decision. We feel like we already know you before even having you into our home. I think that's the best opportunity with anything that we're doing online. It gives anybody in the public an opportunity to kind of get a feel for us. And then when we go into their home, they're already more comfortable, right? Like,
For sure.
I couldn't imagine being somebody in the public and calling 3 realtors off a list, and you might have their headshot, know nothing else about them. Bringing a total stranger into your home to help you make the largest financial decision of your life. I think that's a pretty wild situation. So I love social media for that. I get lots of people saying like, oh, we watched your last YouTube video. We've been following you on Instagram for a couple of years. And they say that. They say, we feel like we already know you. We wanted you in. Let's talk about how we're going to market this, what the commission structure looks like, and let's get started.
Yeah. And you know, that's the ideal scenario. And when you do get into the, 3 realtor situation, it kind of starts becoming about something else, which kind of takes away from the end goal. It becomes about like who can get the highest price and who's, going to charge the lowest commission and sure. Other things that, sometimes those factors come into play, but ideally, the focus is on accomplishing the goal, right? And the goal is, getting the seller into a new home if they're trying to upgrade, or getting them out of town, or, getting, an old lady closer to her family, or, all those different things where, sometimes with thinking about the financial side, you kind of lose the goal sometimes, and recentering to make it more about, okay, this is taking that next step. I remember a client a couple years back had a little 2-bedroom condo and was doing a subject to sale and upgrading to like a 9-bedroom house with
an upgrade,
2 suites. And so it was like the biggest house he's ever going to own in his life.
Yeah.
And, we get an offer that's, $5,000 less than he would have liked.
Okay.
And I was just like, you know what, man, like the goal here is to transition to the new big property here.
Yeah.
The $5,000 isn't going to make or break you right now.
Absolutely.
And it always comes down to that last 5 or 10.
It does. And when I first got into real estate, I remember at the first open house I held with my dad, he's like, son, $5,000 should never make or break a real estate transaction. This is a huge financial decision for everybody, but the goal is to always get them into the next property. That's why they're doing this whole process. So, sometimes you got to shit or get off the pot, make the deal happen, because a lot of the times too, you could make that up on the purchase. Yeah. Or like, I think a lot of people just need the perspective too. It's like, okay, so you're in your first 2-bath condo, or 1-bed, 1-bath condo. You're taking $5,000 less than it is ideal, but your plan with the next home is to be there for 25 years. So $5,000 over 25 years. I'm good at math. I'm not that good at math, but it's like $1 a day. Like, people need a little bit of perspective, and selling a home, there is a lot of stress. There's a billion things going on in every single person's head at all given times, right? So I think that's, as an experienced realtor, we're able to share that insight and kind of show them and remind them of the bigger picture and the end goal.
Yeah. And that's really, the best realtors can do that. And the ones that, have trouble getting deals across the line, they are the ones that get caught up in the minutia, right?
Yeah.
And, this house has asbestos, or, this house isn't quite right, or something's popped up on the inspection, or, different things. And if the goal truly is to kind of work through and you really like this property, then let's try and focus on how we can mitigate that, or, is it going to make the big difference as you're, moving on through life, right?
Yeah, there's going to be problems with every single deal, kind of no matter what. Like, no transaction is ever effortless and seamless. There's always little hurdles that we need to go through. And I think we all need to take an approach of just being an excellent problem solver, coming up with solutions for those issues, and working collaboratively with the other agent, ourselves, and having our best interests for our clients, that both parties want to make this work. So what can we do to make it a win-win situation for both parties?
Yeah. And
otherwise, what are we doing?
Exactly. Right. And you were talking about, making something happen in the last $5,000. I remember Shane Bergman had a little table of, this is what happens if you kind of kick in some commission to make the deal happen, or, if you don't. And it's like 0% of 0 is 0.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so do you want to, be that rock star agent who makes something happen? And, it's not every deal, and it's not every situation and you're not just giving it up willy-nilly. But if the goal is to help your clients and you feel like, you know, at the end of the day, this is going to come back to you in another way, right? Because karma's going to come back. And if you're doing the, you know, out of the best of intentions and the goodness of your heart and whatnot, you know, that person's going to go on to say, hey man, like this guy, you know, at the end of the day, he made this happen for me. They're going to be telling their friends, their family, and, you know, it's going to make its way back around no matter what. So there's no point in getting hung up on the X's and O's when, you know, the difference is nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Like, especially in a slow market like this, when things are so challenging, like a lot of my listings this year, even if they're on the market for 3, 4, 5 months, we're only getting 5, 6 showings. So when we get an offer, we as a seller better be taking that very seriously. And if it's coming down to the little ticky-tacky minutia items that might piss a seller off and they want to keep waiting, it's our responsibility to remind them. It's like, listen, here's the numbers on the showings. We're 5 months into this listing, a couple price reductions deep. Do you want to sell or do you want to just keep sitting here twiddling your thumbs and not making the end goal happen and getting you into that next property?
Well, and I mean, I think people forget that, you know, they'll take the hit now, but they'll also make it up if they're staying in the same market.
Absolutely.
You know, you know,
it's all relative.
The shoe's on the other foot once you're the buyer, or, you know, it all comes back around. So unless you're kind of in that first time buy situation where, you know, you get to really have your go right now. And you've got everything set up, then, you know, either way, if you're doing the upgrade, you're going to get your comeuppance when you go on to the next property. So
especially if you're firm sold, if you're in your first property and making that upgrade, if you're now turned from a subject to sale to basically as close to closed on your home, and then you're purchasing the next one, you don't have subject to sale, you know the funds are going to be in your bank account in a couple of months and you're able to make the next purchase, that puts you in position A for any leverage and negotiation.
Oh, for sure. Right. Yeah. That's huge right now. So many subject to sales floating around. And, you know, as a seller, like you said, you get 5 showings, you know, subject to sale starts to look pretty good. But then, you know, they're in the same boat and then they're trying to make up the difference, and you get some chains going. I know last year I had a pretty crazy chain. I think it was 5 properties. All in the Domino, ready to go. And I think we were pretty well the last one, but it finally, the dominoes finally toppled, but it was a challenge. And, you know, it was, you know, friends of mine making the upgrade.
Nice.
And, you know, at first it was like, okay, well, let's try and get as much as we can. And then I was like, well, I feel like where the market is, it's going to sell close to this. And sure enough, we had to, you know, wait a couple months, but it did end up selling very close to what I kind of told them off the hop. But, you know, it takes time too. And some people, no matter how much you tell them that, you know, we want to try and market close to the market price, and, you know, they need to experience the feeling of, you know, what happens when you don't. And then they slowly get a little more on board. So I know some people will turn down a listing because, you know, the sellers might want to be a little too high. And it's one thing if you lose a listing because, you know, they go with somebody else who tells them it's way too high. But sometimes you get a surprise. You know, I had a property recently where, you know, I thought the seller's opinion was a little off the mark. And we got an offer like the first day on the market.
And then you're just eating some humble pie later.
You know, that offer did fall apart, and we did end up taking less and closer to kind of what I was thinking, but it was a cash offer. It was a strong offer. And I was like, if you don't take this, you know, this opportunity might not come up again. Right. And when you're trying to move on, and then, you know, in my area, if you're leaving a house vacant during the winter, like, oof, that's not advisable.
Not ideal for sure.
And so I was like, if we want to just make this smooth, let's work with this and, you know, make this transition happen for you. Right.
Yeah. I mean, everybody kind of seems like they always think that their home is the best. And it's just like, I think it's just standard human nature. I don't blame any seller, you know, even if there's a $900,000 townhome that's exactly the same as theirs in the same complex. It's the same floor plan. It just sold last week. They still want a little bit more.
Always. Yeah.
But I think it really also comes down to supply and demand. Like in your market, there's probably not a ton of listings. So if you have something a little bit unique, you can still do all the comparables. But what if there's just one special thing about that property that literally hits for a buyer that's been on the sidelines for a while, and maybe that gets you that special price that doesn't quite make sense in the market, but it made sense for that person. And I go back to my first condo. I ended up buying a completely renovated 1-bed, 1-bath condo in Ladner. And to this day, I knew I overpaid for it, but I was okay with that because it was perfect for me. I'd started getting really busy in real estate. My entire game plan was to always buy a 2-bed, 2-bath original and then do some updates and try to build some equity through that. But that was going to take my time and effort. And I realized my best time spent was in the business working with my clients. So I overpaid for that condo, and it was the best thing I could have done because it let me stay focused on growing my real estate business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, and sometimes, you gotta look at what's on the table. And I know for our first property in Merritt, I moved to town because initially I was going to be a radio broadcaster.
Right.
And
Got the voice, man.
Yeah. Welcome, people. So that was the plan and the reason why I moved to Merritt in the first place. And so when we first moved there, we were going to rent. And it just so happened that one of the primary rentals in town just burnt down, actually.
Oh, geez.
So there was a fire at one of the apartment units and, created this displacement of a bunch of renters.
Yeah.
And then we also had a dog at that time too,
right.
RIP Pilot.
Oh.
But, it made it so that, we got a pet and we're trying to, rent in a new town. And it was just like, it's going to be tricky.
Yeah.
And so we started looking at trailers, mobile homes.
Yeah.
And, there's a number of trailer parks in Merritt, which, some people turn their nose up at, but, have seen too many episodes of Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
maybe I was one of them for a bit there. But, once you actually start living in one, you're like, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
You pay your pad rent or whatever, but, you've got a yard and you've got, enough space, more space sometimes than a condo.
Yep.
And so we bought our first trailer in Merritt for 20 grand.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
20 grand. So, I mean, if you really did a cost analysis breakdown of what you're going to pay for rent for a year to 5 years versus just investing in that and then, building up your equity and maybe saving some extra cash on the side, plus the lifestyle it offered you. Like, I love condos and townhomes for a lot of reasons, but I always try to steer people to a townhome if they can afford it. You get your own garage.
Mm-hmm.
You get to go into your own property through the front door. You don't have to go into a parkade, to an elevator, into a walkway. So that's awesome, man.
That's
So tell
huge.
me more about that.
Yeah. So we get the trailer for 20K and, basically we kind of went to the bank of mom and dad a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're like, will you loan us the 20K to get this? And, the plan was to maybe be there in Merritt for a year or two because it was going to be a stepping stone to the next stage of my career, going to be a stepping stone for Hillary. Hillary was a horse riding coach and just getting out of that, but she had a bachelor's degree. She ends up getting a job at the Nicola Valley Institute of Technology, one of the only Indigenous post-secondaries in BC. And it's just like a cushy job that's pretty sweet. So she's got that right on lock pretty well since we moved to town. I am, the struggling broadcaster at this point, and we're happily in the trailer. And, my dad's very handy. We're doing a couple projects in the trailer, kind of redoing the kitchen, doing a nice backsplash, kind of making heads and tails of the electrical situation in the trailer. And the funny thing is we bought the trailer through Property Guys.
Yes.
Which, realtors might know what that is, but it's a for sale by owner kind of marketing company. And at that time we didn't know any better. So we kind of just went through with it, got it for the smoking deal. How could we go wrong? And it ended up working out just fine. But we're working through some of the kinks in the trailer and, repainting. It was fire engine red in one part. And so we do, some painting, some flooring, that sort of thing, get it all done up. And, it's getting into 2020 now, and I got my real estate license in 2019.
Okay.
This is after, being in radio and radio sales. I was in radio sales for about a year, and talk about a tough gig. You think real estate is hard. But I went around, and one of the people on my list was Century 21.
Yeah.
And the owner there, Doug Beach, says to me, Jared, you're a pretty good salesman. You should sell something people actually want to buy.
Yeah.
And I was like,
not many people want to put up money for radio ads.
Well, the thing about radio ads is it's very intangible, right?
Yeah.
And, in a market like Merritt, which has no form of tracking, how it's good for top of mind and kind of that
Brand
sort of
awareness.
thing, brand awareness.
That's
But,
really
you're not too many people are showing up. Oh, I heard your ad on the radio,
Yeah.
And so that's always the tough sell with radio. And so after about a really hard year, I ended up kind of looking at the situation and decided that, the sales wasn't quite the right fit, and, started working towards my real estate license.
Nice.
So in the meantime, I've kind of transitioned from the radio sales to the hockey team sales.
Okay.
So now I'm working with the Junior A hockey team, and it's still, very much still working in the community with some of the same people I was talking with radio.
Yeah.
But, the support aspects for the hockey team and the, tangible aspect of having a rink board or having seasons tickets, that's a lot easier for people to manage in their minds. And so, selling there was a little bit easier, but it all
for sure
kind of broke down some of those barriers, cold calling,
Yeah.
just talking on the phone with people you don't really know that well, and building up some of those skills. And, I remember being in the broadcasting program at BCIT, and everybody was like, oh, radio sales. No, I'd never do that.
Yeah.
But,
Until they have to.
the sad part is like, that's where the money is. Right.
Yeah.
And so I kind of went that way just to round out the gig. Cause if you just do weekend show and play by play, well, that's, 3 or 4 days of the week. It's pretty skint in the pockets if you're not doing anything else. So, but I'm working towards the real estate license, get it in 2019. It's the winter time, fall of 2019. You're going into the winter in Merritt. Much like everywhere, it kind of slows down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just as we're picking up, I'm getting my first deal on the road. COVID hits.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The whole lockdown.
Welcome to a nightmare.
Yeah. And so then it was just like, oh boy. So that put that deal on hold. But then after the restrictions lifted, everyone's all of a sudden going gangbusters. And it was a good time to kind of be getting your feet wet and starting out, because it was like anybody with a pulse could kind of sell, right? And so it didn't take much skills, but you were learning along the way.
The pandemic was a wild, wild west for real estate.
Oh, for sure.
Signs go up. 3 days later, multiple offers sold. Pretty much anybody could do it at that time. And I think that's why we saw such a spike in the amount of realtors across British Columbia.
Oh, for sure. Right. In that 21, 22, everyone's kind of getting into it. And then by the time they got their license, they kind of had to face the grim reality that the golden era had passed a little bit. Right. But I could see the writing on the wall in 2020 as we're kind of coming into the winter time. And I'm like, oh man, like if we don't upgrade to detached, the opportunity might just pass us by.
Right.
And so we're thinking, well, let's sell the trailer now while, the times are good. We list the trailer for, I think, $69,000.
Wow.
We sell it for about 60.
Yeah.
We pay mom and dad back.
Beautiful.
We, put the rest towards the down payment for the house.
Yeah.
And, it's a manufactured home, double wide on its own foundation now. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty well a house.
Yeah.
Just built in a factory and taken there kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, at that time we were just expecting the birth of my son, Oscar. And it was like, we wanted something that was going to be, we like doing renovations and stuff, but we wanted something that was going to be move-in ready, ready to go. So this manufactured home was 2018, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,100 square feet, and just, perfect for what we needed at that time. Mm-hmm. And so we said, giddy up. All right, let's do it. And then kind of during 2021, we had the big flood in Merritt.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right? And so
you guys have faced a lot of challenges in Merritt over the last few years between the flood and the fires, everything. It's been crazy to follow along.
Yeah. And so that summer was the big Lytton fire, where Lytton got burnt to the ground, but that fire actually made its almost all the way over to Merritt.
Yeah.
It kind of ended up kind of branching off north towards Logan Lake. Logan Lake, they kind of held a bastion around Logan Lake, saved Logan Lake. But what it did was it took out all the undergrowth. And when I talk about the flood with people in Merritt, it's still a topic of conversation. What areas flooded, what areas didn't.
Yeah.
But, there's pros and cons. I was in the flood zone. My front porch was on newscasts around the world.
Yeah.
I did a couple interviews for news stations kind of as we went along. But what I tell people is it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't like, oh, there was the atmospheric river and Merritt flooded.
Yeah.
It was the fire the summer before that got rid of all the undergrowth along the Coquihalla. It was the atmospheric river that didn't act like an atmospheric river. Atmospheric rivers are supposed to keep flowing and keep moving. It hung out on the Coquihalla for 2 days and dumped a lot of rain. And then the river swelled up, dammed and burst every bridge along the Coquihalla.
Yeah.
And so by the time it gets to Merritt, it's a groundswell that's 10, 12, 14 feet high.
It got that high?
Yeah. Like if you look at the Coldwater River during the summertime, it's really, it's a far cry, right? And if you're looking and you're like, the dike, you're walking along the river trail, which I do all the time. Mm-hmm. You're like, it's got to come up like 10 feet to even come close to
do anything,
to going over the edge.
Yeah.
And it did. And it came all the way up and over. And I remember sleeping in the house, and we're hearing, the cops in the RV park that's behind our place, and kind of wake up, and Hillary's like, oh, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, it's just some rabble running through the trailer park in there, trying to corner some riffraff in the RV park or something. Yeah. And then we're actually listening, and they're like, oh, get out, the flood's coming, and our neighbor's knocking at the door. And he's like, oh yeah, and we're looking at the street outside of our house, and it's, puddles are starting to get a little deeper. Yeah. You're splashing around in your boots. But by the time we kind of loaded everything up and got out of the house, it's up to, ankle deep. And so we get out of there pretty early, and we had family friends in Kamloops that were really like friends of my dad's. Okay. And we're just like, hey, can we come crash for, yeah. At that time it was like a day or two.
Right.
And
yeah,
then it's, then all of a sudden it turns into like a month. Wow. Because we're they had basically different zones of the flood, and, areas that were heavily affected. You weren't able to go back right away. Basically what caused the evacuation wasn't the flood itself. It was that it overran the wastewater treatment plant and the sewage plant. Right. And so that meant that, you couldn't use the bathroom, you couldn't have water. And so it took, a number of days to get the people that weren't even close to the evacuation zone that were allowed to go back, or some people never left. And then they kind of tightened the zones as it went on. Yeah. And,
dude, you've lived like a full life moving to Merritt over the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Started with a trailer park home to then the double wide. And now you're in a fully detached.
Now we're in a full detached, kind of the BC box. Yep. Yeah. And so, but yeah, I mean, it has been a journey, but, we made that upgrade because, again, I was thinking, okay, after the flood, it was about 2023. And for whatever reason, I always get kind of the itch to look for a place in the fall. Okay. I don't know what That's your time. But it's just, it seems like.
Oh, you want to get cozy. You want a little upgrade, a little more square footage to hang out at home.
That's right. Sense. Yeah. And for us, it was, again, having Oscar, and we blame it on this car tower we bought. And it's like this massive toy that's, taking over the living room, and all of his stuff is starting to take over the house. And we're like, we need a bigger house.
Yeah. Gotta do it for the kid and the toys.
That's right. And so we're like, we need something with like a family room that's, separate from the living room and the main living area. And so we're like, okay, let's start looking around again. And we're looking at, the different detached in Merritt. And at that time, 2023, or I guess we moved in January of 2023, but, we're looking in the fall of 2022. So it's about a year after the flood. So the flood is very high in people's minds. Yeah. But we're looking around town and seeing stuff kind of in our wheelhouse, which at that time, we like to kind of live below our means, right? We don't want to.
Great advice.
We don't want to be house poor. And so we're looking at things kind of in the 400 to 500 range. And we kind of see one that's kind of up on the bench, and the bench in Merritt is kind of like, ooh,
that's the area.
That's the fancy place,
that's
right?
The goal.
And that's kind of where people want to be. That's one of the nicest neighborhoods in town. We see one up there. It's a little bit of a reach, but we're looking at it and we're thinking, if we got it for this price, we could make it work. But, still maybe a little more than we want to spend. And we actually did write an offer on that, but they didn't end up coming kind of back where we wanted. And we were like, no, let's walk away. Yeah. And so we did. And we went and looked at another place down in the flood zone. And now what I tell people about the pros and cons is, yes, this home went through the flood, but one of the pros of that is that, some of those big ticket items in the home have now been remediated and revamped. Yeah. So new furnace in 2021, new hot water tank in 2021,
nice.
New AC in 2021. Yeah. And this home had like a newer roof, beautiful, new windows. It's a 70s home. It's a BC box, but it's got all those big ticket items kind of taken care of. There's a detached garage. There's laneway access. And so I'm telling Hillary, who didn't really want to go back to the flood zone, I'm like, do we hedge our bets here?
Yeah.
And, I tell people all the time, it's your risk aversion, right? Mm-hmm. Are you more risk averse? And if you are, for some people, the flood zone is an immediate no. It's something where they don't want to do. But I was like, if we take this house and plop it anywhere else in town, it's worth $100,000 to $150,000 more.
Right. So you're getting great value.
And, we were right across from the dog park and a park right in front of our place. There's nobody in front of you. There's an alley behind you. So it's pretty private. And so all the pros start adding up, and I'm like, well, this is, and the price point at that time was considerably lower. It was closer to $400,000. And so we ended up renting out our first property.
Nice.
And then using the funds to, cover our debt ratio and buy the new property. And so kind of trying to practice what you preach a little bit as a realtor and build that portfolio.
That's a great story though, man. I think too many people these days are focused on getting their dream home as their first home, right? Which is just, it's not reality, especially, how much the cost of living is right now and how expensive real estate is. I share with a lot of my first time home buyers and, the people moving up the real estate ladder too. Like I started in a 1-bed, 1-bath condo.
Mm-hmm. Now look at you.
Yeah. Now look at me. But that was 2016 getting my first condo. Yeah. And I've worked basically every single day for the last 15 years, nearly.
Yeah.
No joke there. No exaggeration. And then 2019, I got a half duplex, completely original. We're talking shag green carpet. Ooh. Yeah, like some dark wood, just like completely original, and was able to keep the condo by the skin of my teeth, buy the next place, renovate it over time, build up more equity in that, and then eventually bought another investment. I don't know how I made it all happen. I did. I just kept working harder and harder and harder, and also just believing in myself that I could make it work. And then I actually ended up exiting out of being an investor in real estate completely. I think the BC government in Canada has too many rules and regulations. They're trying to tell us what to do with our properties, and I don't love that.
Yeah.
But the story is working up the real estate ladder over time. So it took me from getting into the market in 2016 as a, successful realtor until 2025 to finally get into the detached housing market here.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a quick journey. It was 10 years might seem quick to some people, but considering, the time and effort and how many days I worked over those 10 years, it's probably more average, like somebody's 15 or 20 years put into work. But people need to stop thinking of their first home as their forever home. Like imagine if you didn't bite the bullet, ask for some family help and get that first property,
Really? Yeah.
you wouldn't be where you're at today.
No.
Yeah. Like
No.
there's no chance, right?
Because it was a slow build, and it was, me and my wife sometimes just like have a laugh because we're like, look at us.
Yeah, look what's happened.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And we bought the trailer on a whim. We're able to ride the wave of the market up a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll use that as the down payment for the next.
Yep.
And then hang on. And then last year we did buy another investment property.
Good for you, man.
That one was a bit of a bigger steak to chew because you're trying to come up with that 20%.
Yes.
And so that was a little harder because now the trouble is that we've got this nice house. We've upgraded the kitchen. We've upgraded, some of the things about it. My wife doesn't want to leave. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot harder to do the 5% down and keep moving up the chain.
For sure.
Which is a great opportunity for people that want to start building a portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Instead we're trying to do the 20% and still, make some different things happen, but we're at the 2 and, it's things go wrong too, right? I got a call the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, the dryer's gone at one property.
Yep.
And, and then a couple weeks later, the washer's leaking at the other one.
Yep.
And so people call it passive income, but, you've got to be ready and willing to make the thing. But, it was nice the other day that the dryer went, called out the repairman, and then the tenants were like, oh, well, we actually have a dryer sitting in our storage unit at my work.
Yeah.
And I was like,
love that.
If you got one, and I was like, I got the truck, let's go.
Yeah, for sure.
And so they were like, oh, well, we're going to insure our truck and we'll go get it and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whatever, like you want to go get it, let's go get it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah. And so we went, I went over there with them, helped them load it up into the truck, brought it back to the row house, put it in. And, it was really nice to hear the fella who, like, these are lifetime renters. They're,
okay,
in their 60s now. And they're like, man, you're a good landlord.
Yeah, for sure. Landlords get such a bad rap, man. Like a lot of the time they're just your average everyday 9 to 5 people trying to build some extra savings and build their retirement fund, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand is as a landlord, there are some big expenses that can come up and you just got to eat it.
Yeah.
And then eat it again.
And then, if heaven forbid you get a bad tenant who really goes off the handle, then you're left holding the bag, right? And so there is a lot of risk involved, and it's something that does serve, I think, the greater good.
Yeah.
People need places to stay, and I remember when we bought the No Strata row house last December, it was a decent situation. I ended up showing a house next door to the one that was getting renovated. Mm-hmm. And the guy comes out and he's like, hey man, you want to take a walk through and just see the work we've done here and whatnot? And he's, a house flipper. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go take a look. He's like, oh, would you want to sell this? And I was like, oh yeah. And then he's like, oh, do you know anybody that wants to buy this? And then all of a sudden I'm like, he's done all
turning.
He's done all the work. He's, replaced the hot water tank. He's going to replace the windows. The price point is, digestible. And I'm, having one of the best years in real estate I've had. And I'm like, yeah, let's try and make this happen. So we did stretch a little bit and made it happen. But, it was just one of those opportunities that came up. And now, that's a client that I've now bought another property with, represented him on a buy for a flood home that was it hadn't been remediated yet. And so now he's bought it and he's remediated it all. And now with the new anti-flipping tax and whatnot, he's got to hang on to it a little longer.
Right.
But he's going to be, he's calling me up to work on another one. There was another row house on the other side of the street that came on.
Wild.
And so now we've got an offer in on that. It's a court-ordered sale, so we're still in the process. But,
Gotcha.
it's those little coincidences that if you kind of attract that in your life, you never know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, it reminds me of a situation for me. Back in 2021, I was working with the most buyers I ever had in my career. I had like 10 buyers looking for something in Ladner, Tsawwassen for a townhome with a double car side-by-side garage, or at least an option to store, their hunting gear, their sports gear, hockey gear, things like that. And there was a pre-sale opportunity that I knew was going to be released in a few weeks. And after just talking to all these people, I'm like, this is a massive hole in the market here. So there was an opportunity to buy a strata half duplex, double side-by-side garage, huge backyard. And I'm like, this would check the boxes of every single one of my clients. None of them were able to wait that long.
Right.
They were in a situation where they were living at home, needed to get out, or they've already sold. They needed to move relatively quickly. But I saw the opportunity. So I was able to then put down a deposit as soon as they released and actually moved into that property for a couple of years. But it's by chance and it's by, luck, coincidence, whatever you want to call it. There's definitely opportunities for us as realtors to gain more business through our own personal endeavors as well. I mean, it takes me back to your whole process from buying your first place to now, like all the life experience you've probably learned along the way from painting to doing floors. I loved watching your renovation last year in your kitchen, the design in that, the tile you chose and how you said you would never choose it again just because it's so much grout work.
Oh, no. And the things you learn, right? And, we went with the prettiest tile instead of, measuring and thinking like, okay, what's going to fit the space the best?
Yeah.
But you live and you learn and you make adjustments along the way. I mean, now it looks great and it's awesome.
It does. Yeah. It looks incredible. I love it.
It's something where you do, build that experience. We learned that because we regrouted the kitchen at the trailer.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And
so you guys did a legit tile at your trailer.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are just doing peel and stick on a lot of stuff these days. I'm even seeing it in condos around here.
Right. And it is nice, but I feel like, if you're going to go through that length, subway tile.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And we went actually with a black grout line because we wanted to be edgy.
Hey, that's what I did in my place down the street when I did the reno there too.
Right.
Love it. Yeah.
And it's something where, it's peel and stick is very affordable. There's no doubt about it. But subway tile with a little bit of pre-mixed grout or whatever isn't really going to break the bank either.
Yeah, it's very cost effective. That's also why I chose it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so we went with like a bigger subway tile and pretty thick grout lines. But, it's all comes down to kind of personal preference and whatnot. And, you slowly start building those skills over time. And then, one of the things about building equity and sweat equity is like, you've got to be the one sweating, right?
You do, yeah.
And if you're paying somebody to do the work for you, it's really hard to come out ahead unless you get a big market jump with you.
Yes.
I had a situation a couple of years ago where I had a client who bought a trailer, much like, I did. He got it for a great price. I think $45,000. Put work into it, but he paid out for all the work.
Right.
And, the market softened.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, that $150,000 price point isn't happening.
Yeah.
And he had to basically just kind of eat it to move on. Right. And we ended up coming down. I think we ended up selling it for $115 or $120. So it really
it's like 40% less than it was expected to.
Yeah. Right. And so, you really got to consider your margins. You really got to consider, the timing. Yeah. And if you're not prepared to wait it out, you got to be prepared to take a hit because it can really kind of bounce back and not go the way you expect. So if you're not doing the work yourself, whereas if he had, laid the flooring and, did an IKEA kitchen, which essentially is what happened anyway. But if you have somebody else install it, it's all those extra costs that are going towards it. And it's unfortunate, but
that's the way it goes sometimes. And it could be a big learning curve for him too. And just one always in the back of his mind moving forward. Right. I think I did like a stupid 10-second YouTube reel last week. And it was just telling people, stop trying to time the market. It's never going to work. Like, buy and sell when it makes time for you. And like the feedback I've gotten back on that thing is mind blowing. It's got like 1,200 views on YouTube, which is pretty good for me. But the private messages from people that follow me across other platforms are like, this is such good advice. Like I really don't need to listen to the general public saying, don't buy now, or the general public when everybody's, lining up and multiple offers are left, right, and center. People need to think of real estate as a long-term play. It shouldn't really be looked at as short-term flip, because the market can flip very quickly on you.
Oh, for sure. Right. Yeah. And like you were saying there, it's just so key to just kind of hang in there and do what's best for you, because it really can end up hurting you in the long run. But I had a point that I wanted to try and make there, but I lost it.
Oh, I lose thoughts all the time on this thing, man. It's funny being the interviewer, because you can go and make like 5, 6, 7 points as you speak for a couple minutes, and I'm like, what topic am I going to go to next? Right? It's a challenge in itself. One thing that I could say is some of the best money you'll ever spend as a homeowner investor is paint and then hardware through the house. Like, I go through a lot of these condos in Tawasin, it's brass on the fireplace. So I will tell people to go get a specific product that they could paint that brass, cover it up in black. The rest of the fireplace is already black. It's a safe product to use for heat elements like that. Yeah. And then go around the house. You can order, I don't know, like a 50 pack of little doorknobs on Amazon. You go around your house, you change those all out to brushed nickel or the new, brushed bronze or black. And you could literally spend like $300 to $500 on these things, but just make the feel of the space more modern, more current, more edgy, and it's not so dated anymore. So,
that's right. Yeah. And that brass, fireplace edge, or, the wooden, bottom parts of the laminate cabinets from the 90s. Yeah. People will paint those, and all of a sudden, it doesn't look like that classic 90s kitchen anymore. Yeah. Getting rid of some of those hard tells around the house, and that can be huge for sure. And, just working at it over time, right? Yeah, it doesn't need to be, I need to go and blow everything, right away. Yeah. Like when we moved in to our detached place, there was a couple things that needed to be done fairly soon, right? We ended up, having about a 2-week gap where we were able to get some work done
before
we moved in.
Beautiful.
And the big thing was flooring upstairs, and we were taking out the kitchen wall. Yeah, because it was the classic, closed up kitchen, dining room, living room. And we're like, can we get rid of this wall? Was one of our big questions as buyers. Right. And we had the trusses that go all the way across, so no walls upstairs are supporting anything. Beautiful. So you can kind of
smash that bad boy out, up.
We can open her up. Yeah. So like one of my first projects was getting rid of the wall. Yeah. So we smashed the wall out, get out the sledgehammer. That's a lot of fun. But you're getting rid of all the stuff. And then, you're taking out the wall. And when a lot of people think, okay, yeah, smashing down a wall, that's the easy part. But there's electrical in the wall. There's an air return in the wall. Yep. And so now you're playing like peekaboo. Where do I put the rest of it? So we had to, get into the ducting and slide the air return back to kind of the other side of the kitchen. Yeah. And, for a while we were living with just suspended electrical wires from the roof because we didn't have our plan there yet. And it was kind of, the flooring took priority because we wanted to make sure that was all done. We had the painter in there right away, taking everything from like a dark gray to just making it, a nice neutral white. Yeah. We have a nice navy blue feature wall. Like we're not afraid of color at my place.
Color's great. I think you need it throughout the house. For sure. It can bring in a whole different feel to any different room, right? I love adding feature walls. It's one of my favorite things.
Feature walls and a pop of color here and there. Yeah. Color drenching is very popular. Case in point right here. We're
Yeah. And I
in the
was
dark
nervous.
room.
Like I knew that I wanted to do the black in here. I've done it at a couple of my previous properties, but just on a feature wall. And then I was like, okay, we'll do the whole room black. And then Courtney and I were standing here, we're like, do we do the ceiling? And now the ceiling's my favorite part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it gives it the whole vibe, right?
Yeah. And I see people doing this with bathrooms too. They're going to like a dark, moody color in their bathroom, doing the ceiling as well. And I think it's stunning.
Oh, it really, the whole color drench kind of fad, if for lack of a better term, is really kind of cool to see. And I think, there might be a time when, a couple of years down the road, color drenching.
Yeah, it'll come and go like anything else. Like fashion's coming back from the 70s. And so is interior design and furniture pieces. Like everything goes in cycles.
Oh, for sure. And I think at the end of the day, if you style it right, any house can look stunning in whatever style it is.
Yes, agreed.
But, it does take having certain pieces and having a certain layout. And, you can really make anything work for you, even if it's, 90s, even if it's, 2000s, you've got a 2000s home here. And sometimes I look at the 2000s one and I'm like, what were we thinking?
Yeah, literally, what were we thinking here? Why were we choosing this materials?
But, and now you're scratching your head, but, it's 20 years down the line, right? And so, fashion comes and goes, but if you've, I still love the 70s homes, the BC boxes, the, 60s homes. There's just the timeless character there. Yeah. There's the good sturdy materials there. The classic, floor plans and layouts that just don't really go out of style. Yeah. Maybe some tweaks here and there, but you can really make a lot of those homes work for you.
You can, man. Anytime I see a mid-century modern pop up in Ladner or Tsawwassen, I'm like, am I going to be moving soon? I get so excited. If it's original, that excites me the most. I see the vision, how you can just bring life back into those properties. Cause like the vaulted ceiling, you got cedar on the ceilings, a lot of beautiful wood tones and textures throughout the house. The layout's good. Like I just love those properties, man. They always get me excited. And hopefully one day I can do a nice reno on a mid-century modern. And I wish that we didn't have all these taxes and capital gains, because I know I could go and renovate a property. And of course I want to make a little bit of money for my time, but I think the end product that I would give to somebody is going to be quality construction, good materials, and a lot of pride or work for me. And then somebody else can buy that and enjoy it for themselves too. So I wish we didn't have a lot of these rules and regulations and taxes for flipping.
Oh, I know. And it is a shame. And I do think that, again, they're providing a service. There's not many people that want to buy that property pre-flip.
Yeah.
Right. It takes a certain somebody with the know-how, with the elbow grease, and is willing to roll up their sleeves and go to work.
Yeah.
And, contractors that do that stuff, they get a bad rap as well. Oh, well, they're trying to, capitalize on the market. And it's like, well, if you actually look at the cost of the purchase and the cost of the materials, and, sometimes again, the market change when you go through this, their margins aren't that great.
No, they're not huge.
And so, by kind of reintroducing these properties, they're not making out laughing as much as you think they are.
No, definitely not.
And they're giving you the opportunity to again live in something much more livable than it was before.
Yeah.
And
like right now, how many people have an extra $50,000 to $500,000 if we're talking about a full house renovation to spend on those things, right? Like every single client I've pretty much worked with for the last 2 years wants renovated or just newer construction, whether it's a condo, townhome, or house. Because if you haven't done a renovation before as well, it's a whole learning curve, right? So their best time is spent at their job, their small business, spending time doing those things and then hiring it out. And there's a missing piece of the market for people that want to move into something renovated. Like I helped a 70-year-old couple buy a condo in Ladner this year, and we looked at everything, and there were so many just original condos, 30 years old and something, and they really needed something that was a little bit renovated. And luckily we found it, but there was no hope in hell. Even if they could get something for a good deal, let's say, 5% under market value, they're like, Blake, we want to travel.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to spend our time picking out tile and hardware and countertops to then come back and have that place done. We just want to move in, live, and enjoy. Like, people should really learn that going through a renovation is not just time, it's headspace. It's almost ever consuming. And then when you run into obstacles like all the electrical, the venting for your home, those are major blocks where you really need to redesign and restructure. It's going to add on more time, more dollars, bigger budget, bigger bills, and extend that time frame for when you're actually going to be able to enjoy the space.
Yeah, and it's all, at different moments of life, right? And if you're younger, you've got a little extra know-how, or maybe your dad knows something, or you're willing to take that on, then, you're able to bite that off. But if, as you get older, you're looking for something a little more finished product.
Yeah.
You've done a few renos. I don't know how many times. Oh, I've lived through a few renovations. I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
Man, for sure. I get that a lot too.
And it's just like, okay, well then we're looking at finished product, and it's that money crunch and the finances, and what are you going to get, right? For the price that you can afford, that you want certain finishes. And for some people, it's just like, you kind of got to smell the roses that maybe it's not going to happen for this one.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, the dream home sometimes isn't that first step or that second step.
Yeah.
Sometimes it isn't even that third step. It's working your way up the chain slowly and gradually, and trying to make it happen, right?
I've seen one client go from their first property to their forever home. One. I'm 15 years deep into this.
Yeah.
And it happened this year. So like it's so rare to even go from your first to your forever home. I don't think it's a good realistic goal to have.
And I mean, how many years were in between that first and forever?
It was very quick, but
Okay.
it was a wild ride for them. Like, they bought pre-COVID, and they both lost their jobs like 3 months after closing on their first property. So they're freaking out. I'm talking to them on a regular basis. It was a very stressful time, but then they stayed in the same career path, and then got new jobs. And then it was kind of promotion. And they were very smart with their money too. They lived well beyond their means. So they weren't blowing the budget on expensive trips or fine dining, anything like that. So they were budgeters with a game plan.
Well, and that's the other side of the coin too, that's often lost in everything is, you have to be willing to take sacrifices now to get something later. Right.
Yeah.
And, it all comes back to kind of consistency, right?
Yeah.
And what are you doing every day to set yourself up for the future? And whether that's real estate or, working out or all those different things, it's the big picture that you kind of can't take your eyes off the prize. And if you're socking some away every paycheck, eventually it's going to come out the other side. If you're working down your debt every month, or, all those different things that are going to get you closer to the goal. I think a lot of people kind of count themselves out because they just get caught up in the size of it, and without breaking it down,
for sure,
they're not able to kind of say, oh yeah, that is attainable for me.
Yeah. At scale, it's super overwhelming to enter into the real estate market. If a lot of buyers that I've worked with over the years get some family help, which is fantastic. It's great. And then those others that are, if they're already renting, trying to save on top of that, single income, it is hard, but you need to have a larger view of things. Take yourself out of the equation. What advice would you give to somebody else that's a friend of yours that says, my goal is to get my first property? It's like, okay, let's come up with a budget. Let's still live and enjoy life, but let's come up with a long-term plan, work off that budget, and then work backwards. Here's the end goal. Let's start reverse engineering what I need to do for the next few years to then get into the market at that point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that's like the big Alex Hormozy thing, right? Is if you're consistent enough, you stay in the game long enough, you're going to make it.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you just keep on plugging away and you kind of just let the waves come at you and you're still there, you're going to accomplish that goal. Right.
Absolutely.
And, that's the huge thing. Right. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. If it's, getting back in shape, as a dad, I was definitely getting the dad bod, man.
Yeah.
I was fully, kind of letting myself go, like, oh, you get the relationship 15, and then you get the, the COVID 20, and all the different things. And
the COVID-19.
That's right. Yeah, that's the real COVID-19. Yeah. And so, you're letting all those things go, but then, you realize that you've got, a kid to live for too. Right.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's like, you don't want to be the dad who can't keep up, or, the one that's got health issues that, can't go play catch or go, play tag or whatever. And so, you start slowly building back. And I really thank Real Broker and getting to the cloud-based format for freeing up, my day to be able to work how I want to work. Right.
Yeah.
At my old brokerage, it was floor shifts and, mandatory floor shifts.
Gotcha.
Oh, you got, there's a few days a week where you're on the morning or you're on the afternoon, and it's very hard to get a regimen and a schedule where you're able to, carve out some time of the day. I've got a dog as well. And so, you walk the dog, but that's not really enough to kind of do everything. And so, I hit the scales, I think last September, and was like, oh dear.
Something's got to change.
Yeah, something's got to change. And that was kind of the tipping point for, trying to come up with a regimen, getting into the intermittent fasting, trying to lose some weight, trying to just do enough. Like, I didn't want it to take over my day.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do enough to start, losing some of the pounds. 30 minutes a day working out was kind of my goal. And then, a dog walk of, 20 to 30 minutes as well.
Yep.
And just by doing that, with the intermittent fasting, I dropped like 30 pounds.
Holy shit, man. Good for you.
Right.
And how do you feel now? Do you feel generally better? Like, do you have more energy? How's that going?
Yeah, I think it is. Right. And, but it came to, if you thought about it as like, oh, I got to lose 30 pounds, that could be overwhelming, but it was just the day by day. Okay. Let's do 10 minutes on the elliptical and then, mess around. I've like pieced together all this random equipment from, sales and different things. Oh, I got a elliptical that didn't really work, but you just put the incline up to the top and, it didn't really matter. You got something to get the cardio going. And then, I had a rental where the tenants left an old Bowflex in there.
Oh yeah.
And I was
dude,
like,
those things are getting thrown on like South Delta Give It Away all the time.
Yeah. And
you'll
you're just
buy
like,
them and never use them.
Oh, and I was just like, okay, well, I asked, we had to get a junk company in. I was like, okay, keep this to the side and, drop it off at my place after.
Yeah.
And so got a Bowflex, got a ping pong table, got a foosball table.
Nice.
And then you see something on the buy sell, some free weights. And so I've kind of pieced together this
little home gym,
little Rocky Balboa home gym.
Love that.
And, it's definitely not as, luxurious as having the gym membership. I kind of did that kind of closer when we got married in 2019 and did that for a while. And we both got fit for the wedding and then
of course
proceeded to let ourselves go after
that happens.
But it's been a journey. It's been about a year now. And now the goal is more kind of just building and trying to build some more muscle and all that stuff, and not so much about let's try and lose weight.
Yeah.
So kind of, the intermittent fasting, not so much. It's more about being able to enjoy your life, right?
Absolutely.
But also putting in the work to make sure that you can do that and not gain 10 to 15 pounds.
Yeah. It's the small habits on a consistent basis over time. You're going to see results. That's what our little monopoly man behind us. It's volume negates luck, right? You'll see results in something if you put in enough effort. And you being a dad now, it reminds me of something I saw this week on social media. It was a mom and a dad working out in their garage together, and their son was sleeping in its bassinet or whatever. And it's like, people will judge you saying this is taking time away from you and your kid, but it's not. It's taking care of yourself. extending your life and giving you more time with your kid. And I thought that was very powerful.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's putting in the work, of course, being in daycare, being in school, he's got that time away from us. And it has been a bit of a different journey parenthood wise for us, being in a small town without any family connections there. Like
sure.
all my family's back on the coast here in Vancouver, Richmond, Ladner.
Yeah.
And so it's been me and my wife kind of splitting the duties.
Which is hard, man, because the famous quote is, it takes a village.
Oh, it really does. Right. And that really comes to the fore when you finally have a kid on your hands and you're like, oh, this is
a lot of work. Yeah.
Right. And so daycare was a godsend. And some people might say, oh, well, it's so nice to be home with them all the time. God bless stay-at-home moms.
Yeah.
Because it really, they say it's more stressful than a 9 to 5. And I believe every word, because
it's a 24/7.
It's a 24/7.
Yeah.
And having that, space frees you up to be a better dad or a better mom when the kids come home from daycare.
Yeah.
And gives you that space to be in a better space when they come through the door or when you go pick them up.
Yeah.
And so that was huge for us, obviously not having, grandma or grandpa to kind of work off of and say, oh, can you take the kids for an hour or 2 hours?
Yeah.
So there's been very little me time, which is, it's challenging for sure. But it also, it's me and it's our little unit kind of against the world. Right. And you kind of just got to ride the wave. And, if we do ask for help, because it's so few and far between, we do usually get it,
Right.
like for the Christmas party here, I'm coming down on my own, but I've got a Christmas party back in Kamloops with some of the real folks up there.
Nice.
And my mom's going to come up and look after Oscar for the night. So me and Hillary can get a hotel and
go enjoy yourselves.
We kind of have a night and the next day a little bit. So, but you kind of miss that. And it is, something that working in real estate too, I do have the opportunity to take my son along. And often when he's sick or, any kind of other issues arise, it does fall to me as the one with the
flexibility, the free schedule that you make on your own.
Oh,
yeah, sure.
All those lies they tell you in real estate school. So it does fall on me a lot, but it is fun taking him around. He's really taking to it a bit. The other day we were on Realtor tour.
Nice.
And we come into a property that's not run down, but there's a couple little things with it that he's picking up on as a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And he's like, upstairs in the kitchen, there's a tiny drill hole in the floor. And I don't know, they took out a wall. So maybe it was for electrical or something. And he's like, guys, look out, there's a hole here.
Yeah.
And like all the realtors are kind of laughing. And then we go downstairs and they had laid flooring and, the floating floors and all that stuff. And there's a bit of a hump in the floor.
Yeah.
And he goes down and he's just like, what is going on with these floors?
Yeah.
Who did this?
That's wild, man.
And we're just all like holding back laughter. And I had to tell my friend it was her, it was her listing, but I opened up the door for her because she couldn't be there. And I was like, oh man, Oscar was roasting your listing.
The mini inspector going through.
Yeah, maybe he's got a future as an inspector, but he really likes printing off, feature sheets with me. He likes having keys. We're going to go get keys cut the other day.
Keys as a kid, it's the best thing.
I let him pick a key for the owner. I'm like, sorry, this is a flame key. I let Oscar pick what key you're going to get because he was, looking at everything and wanted something. So, you're trying to balance, having some fun with your kid, but also trying to do the work as well. And luckily everybody is usually pretty forgiving when it comes to that. And, for whether you're a mom or your dad and you're taking your kid along, most people understand that, it's something that kind of has to happen every now and again. And it's been a lot of fun having him through. And it's funny even looking at some of the videos and stuff online when he sees me doing like the realtor videos. He's like,
Yeah.
is that Jared Thomas? And so he doesn't, when it's the online persona, it's Jared Thomas. When we're sitting beside each other, it's Dad. But
that's good.
he kind of knows the difference, and it's kind of cool to see for sure.
Yeah. Dude, I love everything you're doing, man. I'm glad you're, taking some time for yourself to work on your health and fitness, because I think a big theme of this podcast has been we need to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of other people, whether it's family, friends, any relationship you have, or, being a dad.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think it's huge. And the other thing I'll just touch on too, a lot of people talk about how do you get business and building business. And, I've never been somebody that does a lot of outbound stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from the social media, people look at the social media and think, that's where he gets all his business. Right. But, a big part for me working in a smaller market was I realized right away that, there's some heavy hitters in town, and they're going to get the repeat and referral no matter what. But I kind of realized nobody's got a dedicated website. Nobody's got, I mean, they do now. Okay. Don't get me wrong. They've kind of gotten with the times a little bit, but nobody at that time really had, the focus online as much.
Right.
And I thought to myself, going agent to agent instead of, because they say social media can either be agent facing or client facing, right? Yeah. And you're either, talking a lot about the intricacies of working with a buyer or a seller or things to do with listing or buying, or you're talking to other agents and saying, wow, look at a load of this guy. Yeah. And so I decided early on that would kind of be my tactic to kind of cut through the noise and become the guy that, realtors know in Merritt, because not many people are willing to make the 3-hour drive to Merritt to sell their buyer client or their listing client, a new place in Merritt.
And nor should we most of the time.
No.
I'm very in the agreement that realtors should stay hyper localized, basically, right? Like, how is an agent from Vancouver supposed to go to Merritt and know all the intricacies of the floods and the fires of the last few years unless they do a ton of research? Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, it's tough. Right. And it does happen, and we're seeing it more over this last few years where, it at times are a little tougher.
Yeah.
And when I see it, I just think to myself, well, they need it more than I do. But, there's certainly some agents that are happy to refer, and, they've been finding me more and more because of some of the outreach that I've been doing online.
Yeah.
And then the other big part of it is just manifestation. Right. Yeah. And, getting back to kind of the working out, I've got a little kind of list over my workout equipment in the garage that just has, a couple little lines, mantras of things you want to happen.
Yeah.
One of them is I attract motivated buyers and reasonable sellers.
Oh yeah.
And I say that to myself, as I'm running or whatever.
Yeah.
And, maybe later that day, the phone rings.
Yeah.
My other one is I attract referrals from good agents and good people.
Nice.
And I don't know how many times I've read that one, and then an agent calls up, hey, do you got time in your schedule? I got a referral. Or,
yeah. Hey, well, my Uncle Brad. So my Uncle Brad is a realtor, and he was able to send you a referral earlier this year.
That's right. In the summertime, the Mitchells.
Yeah. And he's a great guy. I love my Uncle Brad. I've always looked up to him and how he is as a person, father, husband. We'll be seeing him tonight too.
Yeah, that's right. But, he was one, working in the Real network has been huge too.
Yeah.
I've got another listing that was a referral through Real.
Nice.
And it's just those little things that you stack on top of each other. And for anybody starting out, it's just building that puzzle, and you're always building it a couple months out.
Yeah,
and
as
soon as you can get those pieces to kind of keep lining up as you're going, all of a sudden that's when you start building a career, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is when you can kind of get that couple months out ahead of yourself and say, okay, yeah, January is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got nothing for February. Oh, all of a sudden a buyer comes along and you've got a closing in February. And,
Yeah.
you know, you just kind of keep working along and it's like, oh, and then there's times when it's looking a little skinny in March or May. And, you know, sometimes you got to eat it. Sometimes, you know, you think about it and then something comes along the next day and, you know.
Another local realtor several years ago, he says, I'm focused on my pipeline for the next 6 months. I don't care if I do a deal for the next 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, all I worry about is knowing that I have clients in the future. And as a realtor, I think we all need to realize that what we do today, we might not see dividends for it for 3 to 6 months. That's kind of the standard time frame. If let's say you're doing mailers, you can't just send out one mailer. It's got to be a mailer like 4 times a month for 6 months, and then you might see something come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's social media, you know, somebody really likes your video, they could call you in 3 months or 10 years. Like going back to my Facebook example, they followed my business page for a decade before I even knew that they were following me in the first place. They never liked or commented on anything, and then I get a client out of it. So it's great to step out of the day-to-day and think of the big picture and then set ourselves up with beliefs in the first place. Believing we can have a successful career is huge. We all need to really up our game in self-belief, and then just doing the things that we know that will generate us business in the future. And if we find certain avenues that pay off, double down on them. Go all in on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And people ask me all the time, oh, so, you know, how long have you been doing social media to you know, get the clients and this and that? And I don't even think about it that way. Yeah. I just think, you know, this is just part of your regimen.
Yeah.
And you just keep on doing it and the good things come, right?
Yeah.
And you can't think about, you know, oh, if I do this for a day or a week, and that is where people fall off with the different things, because social media for some people is hard, but maybe there's something else in their business that they do well.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to realize that maybe, you know, that one area of focus that might get you more clients, whether it be the mailers, whether it be YouTube, whether it be, you know, social media.
Yeah.
If it's not in your wheelhouse and something that you can commit to,
yes.
Having that steady, you know, never say die attitude and getting it done week to week, then maybe focus your attention where it serves you best. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is awesome, dude. Appreciate you coming over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we wrap it up?
You betcha.
Jared Thomas, the world's best realtor in Merritt with Real Broker. Thank you so much for coming on today, man. Excited to party tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Blake.
Thanks, dude.